So this is the third part of our spring training, and basically like what we see here is that how do we configure or how do we run a spring based application without even writing a spring.xml file in any way. Okay, but because you see some of the internet pages, at least some basic thing is required. People were doing some of the things like basic XML is there where you declare that this is use annotations and give the package, but that also we can skip. So how? Now what I did is that I just had a class, plain Java class, and no code here. If you look at this, no code here. I'm saying that this is configuration, configuration, an annotation, and then component scan, means like what are the packages it has to scan to get this to load the beans. Okay, so I think only first one is sufficient. I was actually doing some trial and error, so I needed to give, I gave other things as well. So root package, if you give, it might be sufficient. You can try that out. Okay, so I just created, this is the first one step is I created this class where I just added two annotations, @configuration and other one is component scan, @component scan. Now I have this thing, I wrote this is a main class for me. This is the main class, and here if you notice, I have something called annotation config application context. Instead of application context, it is annotation config application context. And for this, the object name is context, like as usual it was before. So I say new, this is a class, not an interface. New annotation config application context, and I'm giving the class as a parameter. I'm giving the class spring configuration, the class that I have seen just now. I'm giving that as a spring, as a parameter for this, and then I'm saying context.getBean. Now this rest of the stuff is pretty normal, that the way that we learned yesterday. So only this line we need to pay much attention, because that is the starting point where it looked tricky. And then what I did is, in the code base, let me close some of these projects. So the code part, what I did is, yesterday we had code called DAO manager and application, right? Okay, so we had two portions. One is that application.java without using any annotations, right? And with using annotations, other code. So here what I did is, within the Spring I created another package annotation where I cloned all the code I placed into this same code that was there before. And you notice here I just annotated everywhere that @component, @component, and writing a name here. What should be the bean name? So otherwise in the spring.xml you are writing bean id equal to, you write the name, right? So here I am writing @component DAO. When I did this, what's happening is that it is like equivalent of declaring bean id equal to DAO class equal to in.careerscale.training.spring.annotation.dao. Okay, it is like that. So, and then how do I inject the dependencies? I am using another annotation called @autowired. We know that we were discussing about auto wiring yesterday from XML concept, XML wise, right? Here I'm not doing that. What I'm doing here is simply auto void. I'm putting that to setter methods. Set connection manager, and this is getting auto void. Similarly, for the manager as well, let us look at this. At the rate component employee manager. Now I am saying private employee DAO, and for the set method I did at the rate auto void. Okay, so what is happening is in this class when I say context.getBean, rather, when you initialize this application context, annotation based application context, what is really happening is that it is reading it is scanning those classes and creating the string beans. And as a matter of fact, I needed to add a couple of other libraries, cglib and asm. Okay, cglib and asm, couple of other libraries, in order to get this annotation based string code base to work. cglib is a very interesting library. I think both of them fall into the same category. Code generation, cglib, code generation library. Okay, it stands for cglib is code generation, means it will generate it will generate code wrapping our actual code. In the sense, it will most of the cases how we use this is dynamically. Suppose I have a Java class, okay, and before calling some method, you want to apply some logic, and after executing the method, you want to apply some logic. So there is a listen pattern called proxy. Okay, so what this cglib will do is that it will create another class looking similar to this, and it looks very similar to our class, and then it will have a private variable of our class. So whenever you call our method, it will do what it will do is that maybe that is little tricky thing that I'm trying to convey. Maybe I can explain it some other time as well, but basically like it generates code. Okay, so these two jars are needed, and then when I do context.getBean employee manager, I'm able to get the employee manager object. Okay, employee manager, and when I say manager.register, so it pretty much gives the same output as we got yesterday with other regular approach. See here, one moment, let me bring this up. Registration successful in DAO, registration successful in manager. So we got our regular output. So simple rules. How I'm able to make my code. There are a little bit more than this. Okay, there are certain other aspects as well. But to get your regular Java program that was using Spring, without using Spring configuration file, XML file, without using that, how do we make it? Okay, that was the purpose. So at the rate component and auto void. Okay, auto void. There is a one, and the Spring configuration. Here, class name doesn't matter at all. You can just name this as a configuration or config or ABC. It doesn't matter. Okay. What really matters is this couple of annotations. Okay. What I'll try now very quickly. Let us see if this works. It must work. If it doesn't work, then yeah, I think of it. Yeah, it works. Only one. The root package is sufficient, because I was trying to do something else, so following some internet content and trying to implement it. I found that not there are not many examples where you can really start without using any XML. So people are using little bit of XML where they are saying whatever I am saying here. This is coming into the XML part. Okay, so this is about how we can really use the annotations. The code is in the SVN. Where do I have this code? I have this code into this particular SVN repository, ch-ocmos.googlecode.com/svn/trunk/training/ I'm just reading out this particular 2 lines as well, /training/spring. So the code is pretty much available on the SVN. You can check out the code and try it out yourself.